he did email me a day or two ago. So I'll just go ahead and get this meeting called to order. Thank you everyone for joining us virtually. And I would ask for approval of the agenda.
I make that motion to approve the agenda.
Motion from James.
Support.
Support from Tamara. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Are we supposed to do a roll call, Kelly? Probably.
Yeah, in this instance, probably. Mm-hmm.
All right. Will you do that for us, please?
Yes. Tamara? Here. We're approving minutes, right? Is this
Sorry.
what we're-
Sorry. Roll call vote for approval
Sorry,
of the
sure.
agenda.
Oh.
Aye.
Aye. Sorry. Okay. I thought you were taking attendance. I'm sorry. Right. Barry Lind.
Aye.
Kyle Mosier.
Yes.
Jody Walter.
Aye.
James Boudry.
Aye.
Ken Urban.
Aye.
And am I correct with Bruce and Karen are not here?
Correct.
Correct. Okay. Okay, so passed.
Okay. Public comment on the agenda. Christina? Okay. Thanks for joining us. Moving on to approval of the minutes from the October 14, 2020 regular meeting.
This is Ken. I'd make that motion.
Okay, thanks, Ken.
I'll support Barry.
Support from Barry. Discussion. Roll call, Kelly, please.
Kyle Mosier.
Yes.
Jody Walter.
Yes.
James Boudry.
Yes.
Ken Urban.
Yes.
Barry Lind.
Yes.
Tamara DePonio. Yes. Okay, motion passed.
Thank you again. Approval of financials from October 2020, which Stacy included in the packet, of course. Or discussion on financials, either way.
I have a couple questions. The monthly disbursements, it's showing only two items, and in looking at the year-to-date, I know Wheezy's hasn't been paid and they've been complaining. It just seems like that side of things is not working very well, that we don't seem to have a process where things get paid.
Yeah.
What's going on and what are we doing to resolve that?
Well, it's Stacy and I have been discussing that. Do you want to speak to that, Stacy?
Yeah, Barry, I've been working with the accountant to get access to QuickBooks because then I can see what bills have been unpaid, and then just trying to figure out, right now with the mailing, that's a little bit of a challenge too, because back and forth with two different offices. I will contact Wheezy's and try to get another invoice for that, but I've never seen that since we've started. So I don't know if that's already at the accountant. So there has been a lot of correspondence with our accountant and trying to clean some of that up. So know that I am working on it. And I do, once I get access to QuickBooks, I know James, you had requested something as well. So I'm trying to work on that. It'll be a lot more seamless once we can get into QuickBooks and see what's going on with that. But it's hard because the accountant's in Ludington, and just a lot of it's done on email, and you know, she might not have everything, and there's the snail mail too. So we're trying to get everything streamlined from our end and hers as well. So we're looking at potentially another option for that. So I will keep you guys open to that when we do with what we're looking at. I do have a meeting. We had talked last month about looking at the city. Maybe that would be quicker to get some, have the city do the finances, or if another local accountant here in town.
Wouldn't we need to put out an RFP for that?
Yeah, and I can prepare that. Yep. And then does that need to go to the board for approval before that goes out, or?
I think so, but do we have to do an RFP if it's already budgeted, Barry?
Anytime we're switching a professional service, whether it be
Okay.
legal or something else, that's typically customary.
Okay.
I'm not sure it's absolutely required, but it's certainly been our practice.
Okay. Does that draft RFP have to come to the board first?
Again, good practice, probably not, because the board ultimately approves the selection. So, you know, you
Okay.
kind of say, use that as your gating factor if there were any improprieties or any issues with the process, but it's certainly good practice. But
Yeah. Just in the interest of kind of moving this along.
yep.
Anything else from you, Barry, on financials?
I question on revolving loan fund. You know, we've actually got a hefty, probably the best balance in that fund that we've had in years. And I would think that the need is probably greater than ever for, you know, very, very low interest loans. What committee manages this, and what are we doing to actually get the word out to our constituency that we have dollars available for low interest loans? Because I think that was a committee, I think a committee that used to oversee that no longer exists, is my thinking.
I think you're accurate in that. So I think it's kind of fallen.
Kyle, let me, this is Mark Miller. May I suggest that we move that to the Business Development Committee to try to figure out some sort of option for that? I think that would probably be the best fit from the three that we have.
That'd be great.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. Anything else on financials from anybody?
Nope. With that, I'd move to approve the financials for October and to approve the disbursements for October.
Great, thanks. That's a motion from Barry.
Support that. This is James.
Support from James. Any further discussion? All in favor? Roll call, Kelly, please.
All right. Tamara DePonio.
Yes. Aye.
Barry Lind.
Aye.
Kyle Mosier.
Yes.
Jody Walter.
Yes.
James Boudry.
Yes.
Ken Urban.
Yes.
Okay, motion passed.
Thank you. Moving on to committee reports. Do we have anything from business development?
Yes, I can fill in the gaps there if you like, Kyle.
Thanks, Mark.
So on the Business Development Committee, we had one really good meeting here just a little bit ago. The committee discussed the timing and the content of future Spark events, as well as one additional event. So the consensus developed around a timetable for these. And so here's how where we landed in terms of the event. So in March 2021, there will be a virtual entrepreneurial day. September 2021, there will be a virtual Spark that could be amended, that's far enough out, but a virtual Spark that will focus on proposals for e-commerce from existing and new businesses, both alike, so that we can assist businesses with ordering online, doing the type of e-commerce that will help them diversify and be resilient. Then the final piece is going back to a live Spark event. And we're looking at spring 2022, perhaps March 2022. Part of this centered around the need for more resources for the Spark winners. And so it could be beneficial to have a larger contribution for the winning business idea. So we'll continue to have these committees on a monthly basis. And now with me volunteering for the revolving loan fund, we might need to make sure we have them for every month for just a little bit. So that's the report that I would put out.
Thanks, Mark. I just have a question. This is Kyle. In regards to the timing, just wondering why spring versus fall or any other time of year for the events?
We had some discussion last spring about taking the Spark event from January and having it coincide with the Career and Business Expo in March.
Okay.
And stuck through the conversation. And I think Catherine Kinney on the committee had suggested that maybe back in May when Caitlin was still with us. So I think we just, for continuity, just kept with that thought.
Okay. I guess one comment on that is if in fact it's trying to place a business to open, it seems like spring would be sort of late for summer. But that's just my initial reaction to that.
That's a really good point. One thing to think about here is if we really are inclusive with the thoughts of the 3 different events, Entrepreneurial Day could get people started with resources to move towards a pitch the following spring, and maybe they can get lined up a little bit further along. But I think your point's very valid. You don't have much turnaround between, say April 1st to the May 31st. That's not a lot of time.
Well, and maybe the prize for Spark, I mean, one would hope that a business would move forward either way, but maybe that Spark prize would just be a boost to it. So I don't think it's detrimental. It's just the first thing that came to mind, but I think trying to coordinate some of these events together makes sense. So.
And I would echo in on that. Is I think some of the rationale for having Spark in January was that timing allowed enough time to find a location downtown, to line up any additional financing once, because often the Spark winner also gets a one of these loans from us. So there's a bunch of things that all take some time, and January was felt at that time to be provide a good enough cushion to get a business open by summer. I don't think a spring works that well. But Mark, I think according to your timeline, you're thinking the first Spark would be fall of next year with a developer day in the spring next year? Or did I get this reversed?
No, you have that correct. So an entrepreneurial day, and then Spark Light, as we're calling it.
Okay. So for next year, a timing of a Spark event is still with ample time to get a business open for the following summer. Okay. It just maybe then the timing of the 2022 one you might want to look at.
I think we have time to adjust.
We do. Something else that I want to put out there for you, Mark, and this has been talked a little bit at design committee, and the idea has been tossed out, but really it falls in kind of a Spark committee setting, is with the DDA's plans to invest in the River Walk. And it has been suggested that maybe a Spark event should be tailored to businesses on the River Walk specifically, as a means of trying to jumpstart activity down there. So I'm just kind of throwing that out there as a long-term thought for that 2022 timeframe. I don't think it would make sense really in the 2021 timeframe. So I just want that in the back of your mind.
Thank you, Barry. That's a great idea. And just for everyone, on the economic development piece for the chamber, we had been looking at and laying the groundwork for some sort of reinvigoration that goes along with the DDA plan on the Riverwalk. So I've been in touch with a landlord and have been thinking about how to move that forward with some potential business. So having a focus for a spark is probably a very effective way to incent people to look at those opportunities.
Cool. Thanks, Mark, for filling in on that. Before we move on to design, we have another caller, phone number ending in 4267. Are you a board member?
Yes, Bruce Allen.
Oh, thanks, Bruce. Thanks for joining us. We are under committee reports, and Mark just provided a report on business development and moving on to design from Barry.
I don't really have much to report. Design committee met a week ago. Jeff McCullough couldn't be there, and he tends to be the one that gives us the most updates. Although one item that he did give us an update on that is, I think very important is the progress that the city is making on the changes to the refuse ordinance that will start basically requiring the use of the dumpsters that the DDA has contributed funding towards in the downtown district. So I believe there was going to be a city council work session, maybe that was even last night, that talked about that topic. So that is finally moving forward on the, I'll say, the regulatory side, because the construction of those facilities has been done, for a few months now. But until the ordinance and who's paying what and how they're being used and what the requirements are, they're just kind of sitting there empty. So there is movement on that. If you've been downtown at all recently, which I'm sure everyone has, you'll see that the holiday decorations are up on the light poles. So thanks to DPW for the work they do annually on that. And I'm sure we were kind of short. The meeting, we didn't have a lot of attendance, but we did have a new member attend. And actually, I think our bylaws state that the DDA board chair needs to formally appoint committee members. And that is Mike, and I can never remember his last name, from the city zoning administrator, county planning department, acting interim planner. He's basically be joining us on the design committee.
Mike Sokola.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah. Can I formally appoint him now?
You can, if you so desire.
Consider it done.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm sure he will be so excited to know that he's on yet another formal committee. Officially.
Yeah. Send him my congratulations. Thanks, Barry. Anything else with design?
Nope.
Okay. All right, Stacy, moment we've all been waiting for.
Oh, thanks, guys. Good morning, everybody. Hey, a couple things we're kind of towards wrapping up the audit for the DDA. So I had, in the packet, you'll see the basic financial statements. Hopefully everybody had an opportunity to review those. And then we'll need approval of those as well, because we'll need to go ahead and have Kyle sign the representation letter for the auditor. And that kind of closes out that portion of the audit. And then there are a few other things that we have to make sure as a DDA that we're reporting on and different requirements. So I have that letter, and our team has looked at it to make sure that, for instance, like the minutes need to be on, the website and different things as such as that. So I'm going through that checklist and making sure that we've completed all those things as well. So hopefully once we get that done, and if these are approved today, then we're kind of nearing the end of closing out that audit.
Cool. Is that it?
Yep. So we'll just need need to approve the basic financial statements.
You mentioned, they're not in the packet, so I'm not sure what you're referring to.
They should be. Did everybody get those?
You talking the July profit and loss budget?
Nope. It's
No.
it's from the auditors.
Oh. I'm not seeing that.
Yeah, it should say draft financial statements.
That was in the link you sent?
Let me double check.
Yeah, it's kind of at the bottom of that page, I think. There's a link at the bottom of the page.
Of the agenda? Mhm.
I can't open it.
Yeah.
It's in a November 4th email from Stacy.
Oh. Maybe if you could resend them, Stacy.
Okay. I would be happy to do that.
Okay. So do you want to move on to the Manistee County Cash Program?
Yeah, so at the last board meeting, there was some questions and talked about bringing back that program and giving more feedback to the board due to having another program come in when we currently have one, the Downtown Dollar Program. So I had, excuse me, I had Christina kind of take a look at both programs, and I wanted to provide you guys with some data on that. So the new program that the chamber started is countywide. The interesting thing about it is there's ways to track the spending locally in our community versus the Downtown Dollar Program. There's really no tracking mechanism. The thing that we know about that program, the Downtown Dollar Program, is there's $170 still out at Jack Pine for purchase. And then any of those gift cards that are in circulation, we don't have a way of tracking that unless any of the board members know of a way that that's been done in the past. But I think with the new program, it streamlines everything. It's online. You can get on 24/7, buy gift cards. It's being promoted to corporate businesses for the holidays to, put your spending locally in the community. And the neat thing for the merchants is it's, they can get paid twice a month via check or direct deposit. It's not having them take the cards to the bank and then getting reimbursed at a later date. So it's a quicker form that way. And then there's no cost to print the physical cards. You can have it on your phone, scan it, depending on what system the merchants have and they're comfortable using, or you can print it out and bring it in. There is that 2% cost, but that is, used as kind of because we have to pay for the program as well as administer it. And then it also is a way for us to market it. So I know Christina's done a lot of marketing on the program. And then total, I think we have 8, this sheet says 18, but I think Christina, you have over 20 merchants in the program right now. At least 12, and correct me if I'm wrong, since we've printed this, there may be more, 12 merchants downtown are participating in the program. So I wanted to bring this to you because I know, Barry, you had some questions at the last board meeting. And since the Downtown Dollar Program is a DDA program, to get kind of what direction the board wants to go on that. But this program was created as a countywide program. We're hoping to continue this with the downtown district. I think it will be beneficial on multiple levels that, we can help the merchants market it, and it's easier for them, obviously, to see also the local spending that comes in. So that's, you know, that's probably the number one thing I think is really easy for them, is to track that. So I don't know if you guys have questions or if we need to kind of formally adopt that program through the DDA, or what the next steps are. Barry, I'm looking to you on the left side of my screen.
So I do have, you know, so you in your synopsis there, you didn't mention the fact that the DDA provides a discount to incentivize use. You didn't I mean, you talked about the fact that the new program has fees for the merchants associated with it, whereas the DDA program does not. And that was an intentional design point, because the previous program before Downtown Dollars that the chamber had administered also had fees, and there was a lot of pushback from merchants and not a lot of participation. And anecdotally, I've heard of some merchants who are complaining about those fees and are deciding not to participate, which concerns me. So I mean, I think there are a lot of differences. And also the fact that it is a county-wide program is good and bad, since, you know, our focus is on our DDA district. We really can't do much then, or as much really, to promote downtown businesses versus all county-wide businesses. So, you know, I see a lot of negatives in the program, not that there aren't some positives.
Maybe we should look at this as two separate things. Maybe we should revisit the success or lack thereof of the Downtown Dollars program and decide whether or not we want to continue that, and leave it up to the businesses on whether or not they want to participate in this new program. I don't know if we can get any metrics on the Downtown Dollars program, but my 2 cents as a business owner when it comes to fees is that's certainly within what somebody's going to pay in credit card fees, a 2%. So it's not really an issue for me as a business owner. I can't speak for everyone, but the old Downtown Dollars program did have fees associated with it, and I don't think that the participation was any more or less. It was somewhere along the lines of 1%, but that's just my thoughts on it. And I get the fact that it's not focused just to downtown Manistee, but also our reach isn't very far. The program is not marketed, and I think it's largely forgotten about by larger corporations, where it used to be when the Downtown Merchants Committee sort of handled it years ago, it was sort of marketed to the larger corporations. And I don't think that's being done anymore.
The other thing too, just to add, is, you know, obviously the reporting mechanism, but Barry, we have no way of tracking. I think there might be a list on the website. We're starting to look at, you know, updating the website. There's no way to track who participates in the Downtown Dollar program. A lot of the challenges with that is it's manually. I mean, it's going in, hey, are you in this? And then we would give a hand form to anybody that, you know, like if a large corporation came in and purchased $2,000 for their employees, we'd have to give them a handwritten list, because there's no other way to provide that and to keep that updated. So, I mean, basically this is moving this program into a new, you know, where everything is done online. It's making it easier for the merchants and as well as the customers. And I think that's what we're ultimately trying to do, is drive business, get our corporate sponsors into spending a lot of that locally, so that, and I mean, I think Christina, if you want to jump in on this at all, but this spending, we're hoping that this is increasing the spending in our downtown and just making it easier. And I'll be honest, the Downtown Dollar program, we've been a site where you could purchase that, but you know, you start looking at, we're doing a lot of remote work right now. I think it's easier for people just to get online, have it on their phone. It's quick, easy, and you know, not having the physical cards that you're going in if you lose them, or you know, I think I think that as a DDA, we kind of got to push in that direction and start moving towards the future with some of these programs that I think will streamline a lot of the operations and not have our hands tied to a lot of the administrative functions.
James, can I put you on the spot and as a merchant and get your, do you have any thoughts on this? I think you're still, there you go.
Yeah. I've voiced my opinion about the downtown. And for me, I think it's antiquated, the downtown dollars. And in the going on 4 years I've been here, I can't count on one hand how many times somebody's come in the door and asked if they can use downtown dollars here. So I don't have any metric for it. As far as I'm concerned, whatever pushes the program into 2021, you know, not paper, I'm all for.
Okay. I'll add too that in the past, the DDA has looked at alternative programs that were more of a gift card type, but the hurdle there was a merchant would potentially have to purchase a separate terminal to be able to process those transactions. So it just was cumbersome, which it seems like the Manistee County Cash Program obviously doesn't have that issue. Christina, do you have anything to add to this?
Yes, just so you guys know, as of yesterday, we are up to 22 total merchants that are participating. 16 of them are in downtown Manistee. We are planning on running a 4-week campaign on Eagle, starting the week of Thanksgiving, going 4 weeks. Each week will be a little bit different about the program. First of all, one targeted to employers, and then two other weeks of spending local and really getting that word out there. We're getting a lot of buy-in. We've got about $1,300 that has been purchased since October 8th when the program launched. And another, the JCs just did it. They're doing a Facebook giveaway, 5 winners every Friday for $50. Dr. Shrink just called yesterday about buying $500. So we're getting that corporate buy-in, and people are excited about it. So it's been going well in the short time it's existed.
And I think, Christina, if you can explain kind of with what the dollar amounts we have sitting in there, merchants or restaurants that are participating can target their customers to say, hey, if you have one of these Manistee County Cash Program cards, or you know you've purchased it, bring it in, we're running a special. So they can use that as a marketing tool to drive business.
Yeah, I have been talking to Compoto to actually get that added to the merchant portal, because with the portal, the merchants can see every single certificate that they've either scanned or typed in the code, and they can compare that to their POS. So they don't it doesn't work with your POS necessarily. And then there's an app they can use on an iPad or a phone. But I'm trying to get that piece that I can see out on the merchant portals that shows this many dollars have been spent, this is what's in circulation, and this is what's still out there, so that marketing campaigns can be created on that. Right now, I've been telling them, hey, there's this much money out there, start doing some marketing. But I'm also working on some Facebook covers and posts that are individualized to the merchants that are participating, so they don't have to do their own marketing campaign around it. It will be provided if they'd like to use those tools.
What bugs me about what I just heard is we're comparing a program that is getting effort and, you know, lots of things put into it, and comparing it to a program that we've been letting sit on the shelf. If we had applied the same level of effort to downtown dollars, I think we would have equal results, if not better results, because it's a familiar program with people. And it essentially says to me that the chamber has already decided to kill downtown dollars, because even though they are acting as our director, they've done nothing this year in this season to promote it to the business community like we've traditionally done. And that bothers me.
Well, I think the chamber was working on this program prior to working with the DDA, becoming the DDA's contractor for.
That's fine.
Director.
They, as director, have inherited a DDA program and they've ignored it. intentionally, in my opinion. Now, I've got one final question. Does the chamber get a cut of the fees and this becomes a profit center for the chamber?
It's not necessarily a profit center, Barry, because yeah, there is a percentage we get a cut, but to manage
Okay,
the program.
Stop there. So you are changing and ignoring an existing program and replacing it without getting DDA approval for something that makes you money. I find that unethical, and I have a significant problem with that. And you didn't even think that was important to mention in your overview.
Go ahead and finish what you were going to say, Stacy.
Sorry. Yeah, there is a fee, and you know, again, Mary, I apologize. We're just trying to streamline a lot of things with the downtown dollars. I don't even know where to begin. So if we want to go back and continue that program, like I said, Christina researched that there's $170 at Jack Pine. I don't know if they're willing to still, but I think a lot of what I'm hoping with this board is looking at some of these programs to bring them, like James said, into the 2021 to make it more successful for the DDA and their merchants. This isn't about a chamber program to make us money. We're looking at the overall goal to have, you know, more marketing for our downtown, more local spending. So again, I apologize if we didn't go about this the correct way, but we're trying to streamline a lot of these efforts and move the DDA forward and really push local spending in our downtown.
I still see this as two different issues, and I don't think it's fair to pin the downtown dollars on the chamber when the DDA or prior couple directors have also done nothing to move the downtown dollars program forward. That's on us. I don't think that's on the chamber. I do think that we should put downtown dollars on future meeting agendas for discussion. And I would be interested if Christina is willing to gather feedback from merchants at the merchants meetings to get their feelings on how that program should move forward. Because really in this meeting, there's only 2 downtown merchants in the room, and I'd like to get some feedback from merchants downtown who have used the program or are using it.
Yeah, Kyle, I will be happy to do that. No problem. We have a meeting next week. I'm not sure that they've seen the cash come in yet, but I'm happy to explore that more with them as well.
Okay, and doesn't have to be a comparison of the 2 programs. It just get their thoughts on the downtown dollars program in general, and do we want to move it forward? Do we want to modernize it? Do we want to kill it? You know what? I think it's always been a merchant program. So the DDA took it on, but it was a downtown merchants program. So everybody's good, then let's move on to old business. Mark Miller with the Lasky sculpture.
Thank you, Kyle. So the movement on this is that we've had some discussions through email, and the college has set up a meeting for today at 1 o'clock to work through what the main issues on the Lasky sculpture donation are. One, where is the sculpture going to sit? Then who owns that? And then finally, who will pay for installation and maintenance of the sculpture? And so the college has very graciously offered up a spot, but we don't have a good sense from a consensus on where it needs to go. And so that will be the discussion at 1 o'clock today. Those participating in the call or the meeting will be Tom Hawley, Crystal Young, myself, and also Nick Szymanski, Mayor Pro Tem for the city. So we will sit or walk around the building and try to find a good spot for that. If there are any board members who are interested in having some input into that, Also keep in mind that one of the questions is who's paying for maintenance and installation. You're welcome to join us at 1 o'clock and meet at the West Shore Community College building at 400 River. So we should have some significant movement today, and we will keep you posted in the future on that. And if anyone has any ideas but doesn't want to go to a meeting, feel free to reach out to me. I would like to know where you think this might go. So that's what I have.
Do we have a photograph of that sculpture?
Yes.
Okay.
It was in last month's board packet.
Okay, I thought I remembered. I just can't bring it up in my head, so I'll look back at that. Thank you, Mark. I'm not sure what to do with item B, so speak up if anybody wants to, since Thad's not here. He's brought it up, I think, the last couple meetings, the development plan.
Well, I'm on that committee, so I can kind of fill in.
Thank you, Barry.
Actually coordinating it as well. So we've had, between our last board meeting, this board meeting, 2 different meetings with the developers of the Gateway project, and are really just starting to work through proposals and numbers and TIF amounts and TIF plans and brownfield plans, and really understanding how all of these different pieces fit together. There's really no progress to report at this time, other than that a lot of work is happening in this area.
Cool. Thank you. Any questions for Barry? Okay. Moving on to new business. DDA strategic planning session. We got to schedule that. How do we do that? Virtually. It's hard. Any thoughts from folks?
I don't think it's any harder to do over Zoom than it is to do in person. I mean, as long as you've got a facilitator who's basically presenting and we're all seeing the same things on the screen. I think we're all used to having these virtual meetings by now, that I think you can have a good conversation and really walk through some things. I noticed that the current TIF plan was included in the board packet. Was that for this item of discussion or the previous one?
It was for the development plan.
Okay.
That's within the TIF plan that Thad wanted to discuss.
Okay.
Barry, do you recall, was our last strategic planning session in January?
I believe we did one in January, yes.
Yeah.
So at a minimum, we should get the written results of that. And it's entirely possible that there wasn't one produced just because of everything happening. So if not that, at least the one from the previous year. So we've got some, refresher as to where we had been in the last year or two.
I recall having a written report from that.
Okay.
I will see if I can dig that up, but Stacy, if we could add that to next month's agenda and see if we can get something scheduled and talk about how we want to proceed, and do we want to hire a facilitator again, and what that looks like and what the goals would be. So if you guys could come prepared with what, I'll try to find that and send that out ahead of time if it does exist. I think it does. Maybe it'd be helpful to have some thoughts from you guys on how we would like to see this happen sometime after the first of the year.
And I'd like to just add, because I do this kind of work in my practice.
Okay.
It really the success of a remote strategic planning really hinges on us having extremely good pre-meeting materials, good even a more broad set of materials than you'd bring to a face-to-face meeting, because you're less able to react immediately and distribute documents. So it's incumbent upon the facilitator, whoever we choose to do that, to get us as much information and really provide information. And then it's incumbent upon all of us as members of the board to make sure that we review that material, we're prepared for the meeting when it starts. Because we do a disservice to our constituents if we don't actually know the material and have a good handle on it before the meeting starts.
Yeah, thank you, Ken. Point well taken. Okay, I guess moving on to public comment.
Well, I guess how are we gonna do this, and when are we gonna do it, and who's gonna facilitate it? That needs to happen soon if we're gonna do something, because traditionally we do this in January. If we're gonna do it in January, we got to get on it.
Who facilitated it earlier this year?
Let me see if I can find the report. I don't recall. You remember her name, Barry?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Was she from MSU Extension?
Yes.
Okay.
That
I think
sounds
it's
right.
Mary.
Well, without digging into it a ways, nothing's popping up right away, but I think, yeah, I'm not seeing it, so I'm gonna have to dig a little bit, guys.
Well, I guess, I mean, again, is this something we want to do, and what time frame do we want to do it in? And then, I think we can direct staff to pull together the necessary things to make it happen. And again, I'll mention, typically we do it in January because with budgets due in March, it kind of kicks off the budgeting process. If you do it any later than that, you start running into not having enough time to get budgets done. And if you do it any earlier than that, it doesn't make sense because you're in this time of the year with holidays. So January has always been our standard time to do this.
So last year we did it Wednesday, January 8th. So we could propose, a date just to get something on the calendar, if that's helpful.
I mean, I think it's sufficient just to basically say that we want to do it in January.
Okay.
And, go through because it's a larger time commitment, and depending on who the facilitator is this a half day? Is it, more than that? It's hard for people, at the spur of the moment to say, yeah, I've got a whole day available, in January. And I think that, we can. So I would just make the recommendation that we move ahead with a goal of having a strategic planning session facilitated in January. And I don't know if we need a motion for that, or you just build consensus.
I don't think we need a motion. Is everybody good with that idea?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm seeing heads shaking or nodding. I think last year was about a half a day. I think we took the morning primarily. So I'll try to find that report. Okay. Public comment or other comments from board members?
I think we'll just circle back really quick on the downtown dollars and the county program real quick. Just for me, this is just my opinion. I just want to get that out there. Reiterate the fact that I think the downtown dollars are a bit antiquated. I don't know a whole lot about them other than I don't see them here in my store. And if we're going to try to keep this separate from what the chamber is trying to do, that's fine. But I think we need to get somebody who wants to take that on, and that's not me. Perhaps it's Barry. There's a little bit of contention, I think, with the lack of effort put into the downtown dollars, at least on, from what I hear Barry saying. And I don't know why it's been shelved for as long as it has. Both being in retail and a shopper, I've never used them, and I haven't seen them in my store. I think what the chamber is trying to do is encourage shopping on a county level, and I don't believe that they were sitting in a room thinking, we're going to take away these downtown dollars and we're going to make money off of what we're doing to try to encourage commerce in the community. The chambers for the county, this is something that they put together on their own to produce and encourage shopping countywide. So if we want to do something with downtown dollars, I think somebody needs to either we form another committee to take that on, or have somebody to spearhead that moving forward. And again, that's not going to be me because I'm not going to put a whole lot of focus into the downtown dollars. So that's my 2 cents on the deal.
Thank you, James. Anybody else?
And I would say also on downtown dollars, I don't think it's a binary choice. I don't think it's stay with an antiquated system and continue to use it. I think it does need brought into the 21st century, at least into the latter half of the 1990s. And so I think it is worth looking at because our focus is really about DDA. So let's really question whether we do need something separate. And I'd encourage the chamber acting as our DDA executive to make sure that we have all that detail because it's about transparency. So the whole issue of, that it can generate revenue for DDA, that would have been really important for us to know about because that does, like James said, I don't think anything you did was deliberately deceptive, but we have to always worry in public roles like this about the perception of deception. So we have to be really clear and transparent on these things. I think it's worth looking at whether we continue with downtown dollars.
Thank you, Ken. Well, I think with some input from the merchants, facilitated by Christina, and if we put it on next month's agenda, let's keep this discussion going and make some decisions on the direction we want to go with the program. If there's nothing else, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Ken.
I'll second that.
Second from James. Thank you, everyone. Have a great week.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.